Guys, it's Elliot here again today, and I'm going to be doing a video on my Game Boy.
There's a Game Boy I've wanted for as long as I could remember. The Famitsu GameBoy Light. 6,000 of these were made back in 1998, which is the year I was born. However, I didn't hear about it until 13 years later, when I watched this video.
Hi guys, today we've got the unboxing of the Famitsu exclusive model Game Boy Light event version.
I absolutely fell in love. The packaging, the colours, the design of both the artwork and the device itself. The colour of the electroluminescent backlight combined with the futuristic clear shells with minimalistic white accents. Like most things we wanted as kids, they were way out of our price range. And even today, 23 years later, they are selling for $1,700. So I bought one. So yeah, I managed to get myself, 13 years later, a Famitsu GameBoy Light, and I am so excited about it. I must add, I did not pay $1,700 for it. I paid $700 for mine, which is still a hell of a lot of money, but it's certainly not $1,000 more than that. Before we go any further, massive thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. PCBWay offer every single PCB you could possibly imagine, including flexible PCBs. They now also include injection molding, CNC machining, 3D printing, and sheet metal fabrication. For every single possible DIY need you could possibly have, visit PCBWay, use the link in my description, and you get your first order free. And obviously, as you saw as the intro in this video, mine is number 52 of 5,000. And what was crazy about the listing of this Game Boy is there was no mention anywhere that this is number 52. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you know what a Game Boy Light is. But if you don't, it's basically a Game Boy Pocket with a backlight. And they were only released in Japan. Those are some Game Boy Pockets that I have boxed right there, and I've also got the Game Boy Lights here, the silver and gold, which are the two most commonly sold ones. As you can see, the boxes are very, very different to what we're going to be taking a look at today, the Famitsu Game Boy Light. Now, the Game Boy Light never made it out of Japan, and that's because later that year the Game Boy Color came out. So there's not actually many different variations of Game Boy Light. I've got a few here to look at. We've got the Toys R Us yellow one. I've also got a Pokemon Center yellow one. This is a Pikachu version. And finally, I have this one, which is a Tezuka Osamu Productions Game Boy Light. So then that brings us on to this, the Famitsu Game Boy Light. What is Famitsu? Well, Famitsu, formerly known as
Famicom Sushi,
was a video game magazine in Japan, and that is where this thing has come from. Now, I'm not entirely sure how these specific ones were obtained. I presume they were sold in stores. However, there was also 1,000 made that were only obtainable through a mail order in the Famitsu magazines. So although it says 5,000 on the back, that's technically not true. There's 1,000 that exist in a black box. So let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging. So it comes in two parts. You've got the back piece here with all the beautiful art on it, and then you have the plastic front piece. Now, because the batteries were stored in here, Game Boys that weren't actually used, sort of new old stock, often leaked battery acid all over the cardboard, which is exactly what's happened with my one right here. Now, this artwork is a bit interesting. It's made by an artist called Rockin' Jellybean, and obviously it was done in 1998, the year this was made. Now, Rockin' Jellybean is famously known for very erotic artwork, but regardless of that fact, it looks absolutely incredible with the Game Boy Light paired with it. I don't know what it is about this combination, but it just seems to really, really work. The girl itself has a sort of a spacesuit on, which is really cool, very futuristic. You can see her finger there is lighting up the word light. There seems to be some creepy monster that is stuck behind her holding a Game Boy cartridge. On her pocket right there is the Game Boy Light itself. The attention to detail doesn't stop there. She has G and B on her knee pads, which is really cool. And it also says Nintendo Game Boy Light on the side of her arm here. Now, there's a little box here with some text in it, which is really, really cool. Listen to this. 1 hour a day of playing games. Games are okay, but you should get outside too. Taking this with you would be a good idea. It glows in the dark. Playing with somebody is better than playing yourself. Jack in to that girl with your junction cable. Have a pleasant play. Thanks, Weekly Famitsu. I can't help but think some of that is a little bit of a poor Japanese to English translation, but it's really cute and it works very well. You can see here as well it's referred to as the skeleton, which is the only place it's actually referred to as skeleton. Now when you flip this open, it should actually have the manuals in here, but mine doesn't come with that. For some reason it just didn't have it, must have fallen out. And then on the back you can see here it says Famitsu, the 500th edition special, 1 out of 5,000, and mine is number 52, which is absolutely awesome. And so that brings us on then to the unit itself. Now I think this is possibly one of my favourite Game Boys that was ever made. There's only one small reference to the fact that this was a Famitsu model, which says Famitsu 500 model F02. Besides that, it's just a beautiful custom. It's completely transparent and it's got almost a glass clarity to it, which I'm going to show you what I mean in just a second. But my other favourite design aspect of this Game Boy is on the screen lens here where the power indicator is. It's pink and it has a slightly different sort of text font, which is just beautiful. I love it. Also, the Game Boy Light logo, that's in blue. That is the only Game Boy Light that has that feature. It's just such a stunning design. And also the white buttons are completely exclusive to this Game Boy. Now this was not actually the only Famitsu Game Boy. I've also got this one, which is a Famitsu Game Boy Pocket, and we're going to take a look at this in another video, but as you can see it's an absolutely gorgeous box design as well. But when you open this up, you will discover that the Game Boy is very, very different to this one. These buttons here were taken off of the grey DMG Pocket, so they're not actually limited to this Famitsu model, whereas on this Game Boy Light, this is the only place that they are seen. So one thing I want to mention is the plastic. On a lot of the transparent Game Boys that you see, they're not actually truly transparent. They're kind of a smoky transparency, just like this Toyota Game Boy Pocket right here. Although you can see through it, it's not completely clear. And I think the fact that this one is just makes it so beautiful. This right here is the step-up transformer for the electroluminescent backlight, and I think it looks super futuristic inside there, almost like the Iron Man arc reactor, whatever it's called. However, on the Play It Loud DMG, that one actually is completely transparent. It's not quite as polished as you can see there, but it is completely clear and transparent, and I love that they brought that back for this. Now on some of the Game Boy variations, there's actually a little bit more detail. This one right here being the Pokemon Center Game Boy Color, there's actually a little bit of text on the back which says Game Freak. This one, however, does not have anything on the sticker. So there's only one thing left to do then, and that's fire this bad boy up. Now AliExpress have just started selling fake aftermarket, clear, transparent Game Boy Light shells. So you can technically go out there and make yourself one of these if you don't want to pay the silly price tag. Obviously it's not going to be original, but it's still pretty cool if you really, really like the design. So on the Game Boy Light power switch, you've actually got 3 settings. You've got off, you've got on, and then you've got on with the backlight. You can just about see it flicking there. Obviously I've got a lot of studio lights on. Let's quickly whack a game in here. So besides all of that then, it's just a regular Game Boy Light. It plays exactly like a Game Boy Pocket. Obviously it's slightly bigger and requires AA's instead of AAA's, but it's pretty much exactly the same as every other Game Boy Light. There's nothing else different to it besides the actual physical appearance of it. So we've turned all the lights off. Let's go ahead and have a look at the backlight. Boom. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful, super effective, works perfectly, and that colour is just to die for. Honestly, it's absolutely my favourite colour I've ever seen. Electroluminescent panels are gorgeous. That is going to wrap it up then for the Famitsu Game Boy Light. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. I'm so happy to finally have one in my collection. Honestly, this is an absolute holy grail piece for me. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Have you got one? Do you want one? Have you ever seen one in the flesh? Thanks very much for watching this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.